kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, but the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Cambo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The four across the middle are Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Larsson as the attacking three. For Manchester City, it is Donnarumma in goal with the back four of Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Anderson and Gahey are the holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Haaland. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, with the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Cambo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The four across the middle are Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Larsson as the attacking three. For Manchester City, it is Donnarumma in goal with the back four of Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Anderson and Gahey are the holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Haaland. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, but the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Cambo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The four across the middle are Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Larsson as the attacking three. For Manchester City, it is Donnarumma in goal with the back four of Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Anderson and Gahey are the holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Haaland. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, but the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Cambo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The four across the middle are Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Larsson as the attacking three. For Manchester City, it is Donnarumma in goal with the back four of Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Anderson and Gahey are the holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Haaland. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, but the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Cambo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The four across the middle are Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Larsson as the attacking three. For Manchester City, it is Donnarumma in goal with the back four of Kusanov, Diaz, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Anderson and Gahey are the holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield three, playing behind Haaland. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff, Crystal Palace against Manchester City. Week 2 of the Premier League gets underway this evening at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City, but the home side looking to bounce back from that defeat away to Everton on the opening weekend. Manchester City left it very late to beat Bournemouth 2-1 on the opening weekend. For Palace this evening, it is Henderson in goal with the back three of Camp. Let's say very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Selhurst Park has just got underway. Crystal Palace taking on Manchester City, opening the second round of Premier League fixtures for this new season. And Palace will be looking to bounce back after a disappointing defeat away to Everton. They actually started well in that game but just tailed off towards the end. Whereas Manchester City started very poorly against Bournemouth and needed 2 goals in the last 7 minutes of that game to turn it around and finally beat the Cherries by 2-1. So we'll wait and see how things develop this evening. But from Manchester City's point of view, they do need to make a good impression, I think, this evening, with Enzo Maresca just trying to lay a marker down. Palace, of course, now under Pierre Sarge as well. It's myself, Paul Shabakovic, and Kieran Graham taking the action. Kieran, how do we see Palace's chances this evening?
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. At the start of the season, you'd always back them, and Palace do pretty well against Manchester City, and that was against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Never mind, maybe a weak side. I watched City against Bournemouth, and they looked far from a side that we've ever seen, which was expected. We knew it wasn't going to be the same. I thought the lineup was so interesting. He essentially started with around 6 defenders, 7 defenders out there, which is a little bit more attacking minded today. You see O'Reilly a bit deeper naturally. Cherki comes into play. He changed the game for Man City. at the weekend, and they'll be wanting to get Haaland involved. But yeah, for Palace, it's hard to predict how their season can go. I'll break off though because they're in.
Yeah, they're in. It's a good ball down the left-hand side, and Nketiah breaking into the box. A bit of a heavy touch, but he still keeps his run going. He fires towards the near post. Donnarumma was always favoured to save that once that shot was coming in, but that's exactly what Palace need to do. Just a little bit of slow possession of defence and solid that early through. Great ball from Wharton.
Yeah, great ball around the corner, and then it's Nketiah against Diaz. Nketiah will have looked up, seen it was the number 3, and he'll have thought, right, I fancy my chance at taking you on, getting round you. Lacked a bit of confidence, hasn't he, Eddie Nketiah, over the last couple of years. I think Diaz got the block in, and it was then saved as well by Donnarumma. But if there was any nerves for Crystal Palace, the fans will be up for it a little bit more now.
They will, as Pino puts the ball in. It's a decent header away by Haaland, kept alive here by Kamada. Goes back to Yeremy Pino. Here's Daichi Kamada again, and once again to Pino. He breaks into the box, perhaps taking one touch too many. Elliot Anderson with the block, and then it's hooked up in the air by Phil Foden. Comes down, and it's taken down really well here by Mitchell when he finds Kamada into the box. He finds a little window, and he goes for goal. It's a deflection of Kusanov. It's a good block, and it's a corner. Great start for Palace.
What a start for Crystal Palace. Brilliant start from them. 2.5 minutes in, and they look dangerous. Like I said, for Crystal Palace this season, I don't know. If I was to predict, which I have done, everyone always has their little predictions, don't they? I would see Palace struggling a bit more this season. I really would. By the way, also, I touched on a random thought. It's weird seeing Palace at Selhurst Park wearing an all-white strip. This is it's a weird to get used to.
It is, yeah. It doesn't really look like a home kit, does it? Pino's ball is straight into the 6-yard box, but it's also straight into the arms of Donnarumma, who makes a comfortable save, and he bowls it out, and he's going to hope that City can now get up the other end of the field and start making their mark attack-wise. Just a quick reminder of the 2-11s. Henderson in goal for Palace, back 3 of Camvo, Richards and Tomiyasu. The 4 across the middle are Kalalidi, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Pino and Jürgen Strand-Larsen as the attacking 3 for City. It is Donnarumma in goal, then it's a back 4 of Kusanov, Diaz, Gehi and actually we were sort of trying to work out exactly where everyone was going to be positioned, but it is going to be Kusanov on the right, Diaz and Gehi in the middle, Gvardiol on the left, then it's Anderson and O'Reilly as the 2 holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield 3. Erling Haaland is the frontman. I did sort of double take because they have sort of experimented with Gehi in the holding role, but he's back to more familiar territory, back at his old ground as well, of course. City, though, will feel confident. They're unbeaten in 7 trips to London, so they'll be hoping to carry that trend on this evening, with Foden now rolling it back towards Kusanov. Ruben Diaz now over towards Mark Gehi. And City just trying to keep possession there in their all-black away kit this evening. Technically, they probably could have got away wearing their home kit, but that's a good challenge from Wharton. Wins the ball off Elliot Anderson, and suddenly Palace are on the break again. It's Wharton through the middle. He spots a run down the right-hand side. It's Pino. Oh, he just treads on the ball. Can he get that ball out towards the right-hand side? He just about manages it. Kept alive here by Kalalidi, but he was already given a bit of a hospital pass, really. And then it's bundled out here by Gvardiol, but it's not a foul, so it will be a throw to Palace.
Yeah, and just see Kalali on that right-hand side. His first bit of involvement, starting as the right wing-back today. Munoz only with a spot on the bench, probably due to the uncertainty around his future. Apparently Nottingham Forest lodging a bid. That would be, of course, him reuniting with Oliver Glasner. I'm not too surprised to see that the Austrian manager wants to reunite with him as we await for this long throw. Yeah, and it's going to be a long throw here from Richards. It's a good long throw as well. It just gets through 2 City players. It was missed by O'Reilly. Drops to the edge of there with a strike coming in from Mitchell. The invitation to go for goal was there, and he has got a good left foot, Tyreek Mitchell, but on that occasion slices that shot a little bit, and it goes wide for a goal kick. Yeah, of course. I mean, there are a couple of question marks, aren't there, over Palace players? You've mentioned Munoz, of course. Now we know after the game on Saturday, suddenly it came out that there's issues with Jean-Philippe Mateta. He feels that there's an issue over his contract. He's actually taken it to some arbitrary commission, I think, within FIFA. So obviously there's no surprise that he's out of the team this evening. And as I say, we've been here before as to say that he may not play for Palace again. We said that back in January, didn't we? He ended up staying. We'll see what happens this time as Haaland closes down on Henderson. He just about gets his clearance away in time. Ruben Diaz just has to make sure that long ball goes back towards Donnarumma because he was being closed down by Nketiah. There's a risky pass out there from Donnarumma, but it just about gets away from Kamada. And he is a goalkeeper, I think, who is worth closing down. For all the plaudits he gets, he's not the quickest with his feet. Yeah, exactly that. Out of him and James Trafford, the one thing that James Trafford probably had over him was maybe the confidence with the ball at feet. Donnarumma is your more no-nonsense type goalkeeper, but City's first attack
It is City's first attack, and Semenyo just perhaps holding onto that ball a little bit too long. Does get across into the penalty area, but he gets a deflection along the way. And so now City have their first corner. It's taken them 6 minutes. Just to remind you, there is another game on our service this evening going on right now, and it's in the Championship. The two sort of celebrity owner teams, if you like, Wrexham against Birmingham. That's 7 minutes in as well, and that is also goalless. And of course, a full programme of Premier League and EFL games and SPL games over the weekend to come on this service as well. Crystal Palace have conceded 21 goals since the start of last season from set pieces. That puts them top of that particular list. A short corner here between Cherki and Semenyo. Then it's with Anderson, and Anderson goes for goal. Forces a good save from Henderson. There's a bundle there inside the 6-yard box. Ruben Diaz plays it across. Haaland is there, and his shot is blocked on the line. A couple of City players were appealing. I'm not sure if there was a handball they weren't happy about, but now Palace trying to go on the counter. O'Reilly is back there covering on the halfway line, and he stops any opportunity there for Palace to get forward. But that was already nervy there for the home side.
Really nervy. We'll have to see Haaland's chance back again. I wonder whether he's on full stretch and he's maybe just scuffed it. He's instantly blocked, because it didn't seem like he hit it with any real power. If he hits it with power, it's an open net, well, no goalkeeper, about 6 yards out with just the man in front of him who did block it. So we'll have to see how much contact he actually got. Erling Haaland, of course, a lot to be made about his new haircut. I think with the amount of talk around it, I think he'll just want his first goal with the new haircut. Of course, footballers are so about superstitions. If he starts to go a few games without a goal, he might be thinking, what have I done?
Absolutely, it could be like Samson with his hair. As soon as he cuts it off, he loses all his power. But yeah, from Haaland's point of view, I'm sure there might be a nod to his haircut if he scores or something along those lines. Because at the end of the day, he was the one that posted on his own social media that he was getting the haircut, so I'm sure he knew he was going to get attention for it. But here comes Semenyo now. He gets a good ball down the overlap, down the left-hand side, into the 6-yard box. Oh, it's been served up for Foden, and he just hesitated for a second. That ball was intentionally intended for Haaland. It deflected away from him, and then there was a good second or two there where Foden was just staring at the ball inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, Semenyo, a little scuff. I don't know if Haaland gets much. I don't know what Daichi Kamada's doing for Crystal Palace.
It's almost like he's waiting for Foden to get there first, isn't he? It was bizarre.
So poor.
Both Kamada could have done better, and so could Foden. But now Palace breaking out down the right-hand side, cross coming in, looking for Strand Larsen. Ball coming in there from Kalalili was deflected away. Has Wardson used his arm there? City appealing that he did. Referee Andy Madley says no, and then it's a long hoisted ball here from Kamada, but it's well controlled by Mitchell on the left-hand side. Holds it up and then plays it back. It's whipped in at pace, but it's headed away. The cross from that left-hand side was from Tomiyasu. Palace keeping it alive on the right-hand side. There's a lovely overlap, and Pino puts in a dreadful ball, and he'll be glad to hear that he's offside, because that move deserved a lot better than that pass. Yeah, it did. Well, Man City look a bit of a mess defensively, in my opinion. And we've just seen, I think this is going to show us the chance that we saw for Haaland moments ago. Elliot Anderson was the one who hit the strike. It was well saved. Ruben Diaz got there on the rebound. He then played it back across. And Haaland, he got good contact on it. It's a good block from Strand Larsen, his fellow Norwegian, who's turned into maybe a natural goal scorer, into a goal saver there for his side, because it is a vital block. But does he use his arm? That was the question that City were asking. No, he doesn't. It nutmegs him. His hand is behind him, but it actually, even if it hit his hand when it's behind him, I don't think they would have given that as a handball, but it actually misses his hand altogether. So City were within their rights to appeal that, because certainly from their angle it might have looked as though there was a handball, but Tomiyasu does well to get a ball through the middle. City have been carved apart here. Strand Larsen leaves it for Nketiah. He then finds a runner down the right-hand side in Kalalili. He then just dawdles on the ball a little bit at the edge of the penalty area. Then he plays in Pino, who is onside. Pino across the 6-yard box. Gahey with the block. Now there is a delayed offside. And City will be relieved to hear that, because their midfield is being carved apart right now. It's too narrow for Manchester City at the moment, and we saw this with Maresca at Chelsea as well. I mean, Kusanov, we know he's played right back a lot, a natural centre half. Vardiol, we know he plays left back a lot. He's a bit more comfortable playing at left centre half. You've got O'Reilly in the middle, but he's not like moving wide, is he? He's staying central. So if you're a good quality quick winger watching this on TV, if you play in the Premier League, you're thinking, I could get real joy playing against Man City this season, because it looks so easy at the moment just to find space in wide areas. No, it does, and of course, whilst Maresca does have a solid defensive backbone in his makeup, obviously he's trying to sort of rejig everything in a short space of time. And it may well be that that sort of central midfield area has just been left a little bit exposed. But City now try again here with Anderson. A new huge signing from Nottingham Forest over to Phil Foden. Back now to Kusanov. Kusanov with an angled ball in, but it's way too deep. Bit of potential collision there between Cambo and Henderson, but the Palace keeper and indeed captain makes a comfortable save. Just rolls this ball out. Can't take too long because Haaland is closing him down. But Henderson gets a long clearance over the halfway line, aiming at Strand Larsen. It's actually over his head, and it'll bounce all the way through towards the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. It's a chance now for City to try and go forward. Bench for City is pretty strong. There's a couple of younger players that will go through the bench in a little while, but certainly from Maresca's point of view, they haven't done too. Obviously, they've done that huge business in terms of bringing in Anderson. I mean, I think we don't even need to discuss the fact that the fee is inflated because it's City that are buying. Yeah, exactly that. And they've just signed Buadi as well for around £100 million himself. Yes, a great player, but the prices are all insane. That said, they have got a direct line to Spurs where they seem to be selling all their wingers to Tottenham at the moment as well, so they are making some of that money back as well. So I did actually commentary of Spurs this game against Charlton in midweek, where Savinho came on, scored and had an assist as well. Made quite a bit on James Trafford as well. They did, yeah, absolutely. No, as I say, they do need to be aware of that, City. Of course, the 115 charge is still very much hanging over them, goodness knows. I mean, I think it was around 2 or maybe even 3 seasons ago that pundits were saying, well, this can't go on for another season, and it's gone on for another 3. So we'll wait and see when eventually there is some sort of resolution with that. But now it's a couple of minutes of solid, steady possession here for Manchester City without really making any progress on the field. They're just keeping it in midfield now with Ruben Diaz pushing forward, just being blocked here by Kamada. Goes over towards Kusanov. He tries an early ball, which is well cut out there by Tomiyasu. Kept in play there by Mitchell. There's an energy about Palace that I like early on in this game, and they're trying to get at City as much as they can. And Nketiah from a deep position. He was well blocked, though, by Anderson. Both sets of players saying that should be our ball as it goes out for a throw, but it has been given to the visitors. And Anderson, of course, I mean, he was already a very sort of well-known, obviously, a big talent when he came to Forest, but now with this huge price tag, opposition players are going to want to get into him that little bit more, I think. Yeah, exactly that. And he has to adapt as a player. He was used to chasing a lot in midfield last season. He's now having to become a quite possession-dominant type player, which is very different. And it's going to be very different for him this season. I'll break off the Palace on the counter again. They are. Strand Larsen holds it up, but there was no chance that that pass from him was going to reach Nketiah, just a little bit undercooked. Yeah, it's almost like a role reversal for Anderson. He was chasing midfielders for most of last season. Now he's going to be the prey, isn't he? He's going to be chased down. He's going to be pressed wherever he gets on the ball, as well as opposition sides try to unsettle Manchester City's rhythm. But coming up to 14 minutes on the clock, it is goalless at Selhurst Park. It's been a bright start, though. A couple of early chances for both teams. And now, as you would have expected, City are just trying to set their stall out a little bit more with some more accomplished possession now, with Anderson finding Guéhi down the left-hand side. It's with Semenyo. Palace trying to keep that offside line just at the edge of their area as City push forward. That's a good block, though, down the right-hand side. And it goes out for a throw. It's Kalalili with the throw. He came off the bench in the last game. Looked decent as well, did the Israeli. And he gets the start this evening, as Kieran mentioned, because of the question mark over Daniel Munoz. I mean, I think that obviously if he's an unhappy player, then there's not much point in keeping him. But he's a really good player. He's perfect for that right-hand side defence and attack at the same time. I'll get your thoughts on him in a second, because here comes Phil Foden pushing forward here for City, going square to Anderson. 30 yards out, he then finds Kusanov. Kusanov into the box. It's flicked off O'Reilly, where it might have actually come off Tomiyasu just behind him. Gvardiol was up there as well, but he can't get any distance on the header, and it's hooked up in the air by Kalalili. Yeah, and he deals with it pretty well, and Strand Larsen applying the pressure. Good work, though, from Ruben Diaz, who's then been taken down. He wins the free kick. I guess if you're Crystal Palace, you of course want to keep Daniel Munoz, but 30 years of age, it's been a £20 million bid. Will they get that amount of money again? Probably not. And if they trust Kalalili, which they must do, they've signed him for quite a bit this summer as well, quite clearly a right wing back, so maybe it does just make sense. It does. I mean, interesting enough, Mateta's not even in the squad. Munoz is on the bench, so as I say, there is still that little bit more trust about him. And certainly there doesn't seem to be the kind of toys out of the pram situation that we've had with Mateta a couple of times at Crystal Palace now. I mean, I think from Mateta's point of view, I think this has all been engineered so that he does leave. I mean, even if all the regulatory bodies rule that the contract is valid, once he's taken his own employer to court over his own contract, surely there's no way for him to be starting Premier League games after that. So eventually it's going to mean that he's going to leave, and I think he's done it as early as possible in the window to hope that he can still get a move before the middle of next week. But here comes City again now with Foden down the right-hand side, edge of the area, just couldn't quite find a way into the box. He plays it back to Anderson. Square now to Gehi. Guardiola finding Semenyo, lifts that one into the 6-yard box. It's a looping header from Haaland. It's an absolute beauty. And straight away, he goes to that short haircut of his just to make the point. But he hasn't had much service this evening. He gets that one good ball, and it's a fabulous header.
What a header that is. What a great delivery from Antoine Semenyo. But that header is unbelievable from Erling Haaland. And he's making the point to Semenyo about how good the cross was, and I think that's an area that Semenyo can improve in his game. About looking up, he's just so direct that he always goes for goal himself, it feels. Maybe that did hinder Haaland a little bit in the second half of last season, but what a header that is. I mean, he has to leap, divert it almost back where it came from, loop it over Dean Henderson, generate the power still and the accuracy. The header couldn't be much better, and City have the lead.
They do. I mean, from that reverse, from one angle, it looks like it's going about 3 yards over the bar when he first heads it, but he's measured that absolutely perfectly. It's looping up over the despairing diver Henderson, who couldn't have really done much more. I mean, you see that dive from Henderson, even when he's at his closest, that ball is still at least a yard away from his hand as it's looping down. He's got no chance of saving that at all. And Erling Haaland immediately does a little clipper to the head. And of course, his manager certainly no stranger to a clipper to the head either, is the Enzo Maresca, always clean shaven, and he'll be absolutely delighted. Although not too much reaction there from the new City manager.
Well, he pointed straight at Semenyo. He pointed at him and then fist bumped, and that's obviously something they've worked on. You won't have seen that type of link up much last season. Semenyo, a deep cross towards Haaland. So yeah, he'll be delighted. More so after a bit of a nervy start. Took them a long time to get going against Bournemouth as well. An early goal at Selhurst Park. A pretty tricky place to go. Maybe not for City. They quite enjoy coming here. But yeah, and Erling Haaland himself, absolutely, he loves coming here as well.
6 goals at Selhurst Park, 6 at the London Stadium, 3 at the Emirates, 3 at Stamford Bridge, 3 at Craven Cottage, and 3 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And as I say, it's not just Haaland. We made that point earlier. City are going 7 games unbeaten on the road in London, so they do like to come to the capital generally, although over the last few years City have won most of their games, whether it's up north or down south. Ball played towards the edge of the area, nodded clear now by a good header there from Camvo, and then a foul on Pino there, just being tripped by Semenyo. Free kick to Palace, but now it's so important that energy level Palace had before they conceded, that they somehow maintained. Obviously, it's easier said than done psychologically. They're obviously going to be a bit dented for conceding that goal, but they can't really allow the City to get even more into the game, because then it's just a matter of time before they score again.
Yeah, exactly. The quality would tell. We've maybe seen the difference in quality in the key areas. And ironically, Crystal Palace missed Mark Gehi, who's of course at the back for the opposite side today, don't they? As they've been okay. They've just lacked that little cutting edge over the last maybe 5-10 minutes or so. First 10 minutes they were great. Ryan Cherky just brushed his man off. The referee's given a free kick in the end. Well, if the referee's given a free kick, that means he should think that there's been an elbow.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. I actually thought the referee was going to give an advantage to City. Oh. How on earth has Cherky committed a foul there?
That is poor.
That is poor. I can't understand that. And Ryan Cherky,
2 small players as well,
yeah,
against each other.
And
that's ridiculous.
And there was no elbow out or anything. It's essentially Pino falling to suggest he was fouled, and the referee just absolutely bought it. And in this day and age, referees are supposed to be a little bit more savvy than that. But just to say very quickly, there has been an early goal in the other game as well, and it's Wrexham 0, Birmingham 1. I was on commentary for Birmingham's Carabao Cup disaster against Brentford in midweek, and they need a win because they were awful in that game. But I'll break off from that because here comes City again, and here is Semenyo again. This time it's a low cross just behind Erling Haaland. Foden, I thought he might let this go out because I think he came off a Palace player, but he prefers to keep it in. Rolls it back towards Kusanov. It's now back with Ruben Diaz, just at the edge of the centre circle. Palace completely inside their own half now. They're struggling to get any possession at all. Here are the Eagles. Here is Anderson, finding Foden, back towards O'Reilly. Closed down here by Eddie Nketiah. And the visitors in their all-black kit looking very comfortable so far here, Manchester City. They were looking good in the last 5 minutes before they scored, but now that they've scored, it's going to be that little bit more difficult, you feel, for Palace to get any kind of joy at all. Ruben Diaz backing up again. Palace still trying to keep quite a high offside line just to keep that half of the field congested, but City are just starting to really find their feet, and Semenyo taking on Kalalili here for pace, just being forced to check his run slightly. Goes back towards Mark Gahey, towards Gvardiol now. Oh, that's a great ball to pick out Anderson. Anderson into Haaland. I thought Anderson might have a go himself, but then he finds Foden. Foden must score, and he's blazed it over the bar. He had so much space and so much time. He probably could have taken 2 touches before wrong-footing the goalkeeper, instead of which he leans back, hits it first time, and he actually misses by quite some way.
You're spot on, Paul, about the touches. He needs to take 1 touch, open your body up, and that, well, he should be good enough to score first time anyway.
It's a slight bobble, but he doesn't need to hit it first time.
Exactly, he doesn't need to at all, and yes, he's good enough, which is why it's still a really bad miss. But take your touch, set yourself, give the goalkeeper the eyes. You've got the whole goal to aim for with Henderson rooted in the middle. Yeah, that's a real surprise, but the pass from Gvardiol to Anderson in the build-up, that was perfect. It was the definition of patience.
It was. I mean, it was only a 10, 12-yard pass, but it literally split 3 Palace defenders to pick out his teammate, who was in the right position just at the edge of the area. Palace now having to do 5, 6, 7 passes just to get the ball away from their own penalty. And now Wharton, the slightly riskier ball into midfield, headed down by Nketiah. Now Palace lose the ball inside their own half. Haaland and O'Reilly fighting. Great play. And O'Reilly then turns. He did really well to win the ball back, but maybe he sort of believed in his own hype a little bit too much after that, because the shot really wasn't on from that sort of distance, and he drags it wide.
Well, if he scored that, he'd have probably gone and got goal of the season, because I can't even describe the skill he did. He's got his back to his man, he's dragged it, flicked it through his leg, spun through 2 of them, and then hit it. I think the irony is, and I don't want to maybe bash him too much, because that's unbelievable skill. Could have maybe taken more touches again and run into the bit of space in front of him, but yeah, you can understand maybe why he got a bit excited with that one. I mean, the skill was unbelievable. Yeah. For such a tall player, he really does have that in his locker.
Yeah, it was almost like he had a power boost if it was a computer game after that special move. But Strand Larsen, meanwhile, has just started to hobble a little bit. I think he was caught as he was trying to win that last ball. Just keep an eye on him.
He lost his boot.
Yeah, I think he was to say. He looks like he's all right moving around comfortably now. So everything is okay with him. Not so much though with Palace. They're struggling to get any kind of possession in now. We're over the halfway mark in this first half. 23 minutes gone. It is Palace 0, City 1, and it'll be Kieran to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. As we now see Ruben Diaz with the ball at the back. It's going to go all the way across towards Donnarumma, who had that early save to make, but from then on, maybe the last 15 minutes or so, not really much to do for him. I think Haaland can't hold it up. It takes a couple of deflections. Semenyo's let it go out of play, and in the end it last came off Erling Haaland, so a poor decision from the goal provider, Antoine Semenyo. The throw-in's been taken towards JD Canvo, and a heavy touch from Richards, but he just gets past Erling Haaland. He doesn't play a great ball for Kamada, who goes across to his fellow Japanese international Tomiyasu, who's brought in this summer. Nketiah with a turn, good footing from Elliot Anderson. That's the type of midfield work we're used to from him. They're just a bit of a mess in possession, aren't they, Crystal Palace? There's no real outlet ball so far. That's a terrible touch from Yeremy Pino. Matt Gay is going to eat that up all day. Haaland, ball out wide to Semenyo, who's been City's best player so far on the left-hand side. He's been bundled over. And Yeremy Pino, he's going to be a bit careful there, because he boots the ball away at the advertising board in a bit of frustration. Well, maybe he's been playing at his own game there with Semenyo going down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Pino's more frustrated with his own teammates there. I think he was trying to make a point to them, but I completely agree. I mean, we've seen players get second yellow cards for kicking the ball away less viciously than that, so he's got to be careful. Andy Madley certainly won't look too kindly on that. But from a City perspective, this is a free kick in a great position, and there's no surprise to see Ryan Cherky standing over it.
Yeah, in a really good position. Ryan Cherky, the man ready to take this one. He's got Haaland lurking at the back post. You always think he's always going to be the main target. Ryan Cherky with the arm up, whips it in. Decent delivery towards the back post. Well punched away, a bit of a waste.
Yeah, the ball in there was just a little bit too easy there, and the punch from Henderson goes off at a slightly funny angle. And despite the best efforts of Mitchell chasing that one all the way to the corner flag, it does go out on the wrong side of the corner flag as far as Palace are concerned. City now with the corner.
Yes, we now see this corner ready to be taken. Phil Foden, the man over this one. It's going to be an in-swinging delivery for the man who should have made it 2-0 with a great opportunity. As Haaland is battling with his teammate Strand Larsen. Foden towards the back post. Decent delivery, well headed away. The referee had a look in the box to see if there was anything going on. Nothing that required him to blow his whistle, and here comes City back on the attack. Foden on the right-hand side. Thought about returning it to Anderson. He doesn't. Tries to turn away from Mitchell, who stays really tight to him. Good defending from Mitchell, but Foden stays in possession. He's forced all the way back, and that is good defending.
That is good defending. That's much better from Palace, just standing their ground a bit more, making it that little bit more difficult for City to get anywhere near their penalty area. And that's what Palace need to do, because City look really comfortable on the ball now. The question for me is, can Palace do anything to actually get the ball away themselves?
I see Kusinov goes across towards Diaz. He's going to be on the left-hand side with Mike Gate, who's going to carry it forwards, goes back into his own half of Nico O'Reilly. He's been heavily involved as usual, City midfielder. Well, turned midfielder, should we say, from being the left back last season. Definitely sees as if Enzo Maresca sees him more as a midfielder. Elliot Anderson now driving forwards. He's got Phil Foden for company, uses Foden. We've not seen too much of Cherky, have we, in open play in this opening 26.5 minutes. He's kind of just bypassed him for a little bit. Vardiol takes a heavy touch, goes across towards Elliot Anderson. Sharp turn from him again. He looks for a ball to the left, never really on. It's a really poor ball, actually, from Elliot Anderson. Kalali plays it in the middle. Anderson completely misjudged it, but that's a vital sliding challenge and interception from Mike Gay, because there could have been through on goal there.
They could have been, but once again now City pushing forward as suddenly O'Reilly breaks away.
And here's O'Reilly down the right-hand side. He's into the penalty area, still going himself onto his left foot, lays it off for Ryan Cherky, who's still going and looks to hang it up towards the back post. There's Foden with a complete miss hit again, this time with his head. And what a chance, and Phil Foden has that same bemused look that he had moments ago.
Well, I mean, on a different day, maybe with a bit more match sharpness, Phil Foden would have had a brace by now, and that second one was even easier than the first one.
Yeah, what an opportunity, but what a breakaway, and what great pace and power from Nico O'Reilly again to drive them forwards. And Man City, I was a bit worried for them 10 minutes in with how open they looked, but they've grown into this and have started to look like the Man City that we expect, and that's a poor challenge in from Mike Gay. And a free kick. It is
a free kick, but yeah, I mean, panic stations are probably a little bit too early for that, but from Manchester City's point of view, they know the players that they've got. Enzo Maresca is a forward-thinking manager. He's not someone who's going to tell his players to sit back and hope for the best. He does have ways of trying to unlock teams, and obviously with the huge amount of talent that he's got within his squad. So we see that ball in from Cherky. I mean, Foden just completely mistimes. He mistimes his header, and he doesn't quite work out the line of the ball either.
Yeah, Haaland dropped to his knees straight away, because if Foden doesn't touch that, which obviously he's going to go for it, it would have dropped straight for Haaland at the back post for only a few yards out for a tap-in for 2-0, but I won't necessarily berate Foden for that. He's of course got to go for that. He can't move out of the way of it. He's not to know. Jeremy Pino whips in the free kick, doesn't beat the first man. Phil Foden heads away. Daichi Kamada's going to keep it in play on the left-hand side. Ball down the channel, looking for Tomiyasu. He drills it into the area, and Erling Haaland can boot away for his second bit of defensive work today. Of course, he dealt with that corner earlier on in the game. Mitchell on the left-hand side. He finds Tomiyasu back towards the English fullback, who goes inwards with it and goes all the way back towards his central centre-half in Chris Richards. Now we see JD Camvo. He's going to carry it forward. Looks to the right again. Nice ball down the line from Kalali, looking for Strand Larsen, who's battling with Ruben Diaz, but he's just absolutely bullied away there by Elliot Anderson and Diaz. It's great play from the two of them. Strand Larsen then puts a foot in and out of play for a throw, and it seems like both sets of players involved in that are a little bit frustrated with the referee, and Elliot Anderson is getting really frustrated with the referees, and it should have been a foul.
He is, yeah. I mean, we'll see from the replay whether or not he's got as much of a point as he's saying that he did there, Elliot Anderson. It has just gone out for a throw to City, and obviously he knows he's going to be under huge pressure. He's had a couple of good moments in this game already, but that's clearance there from City could have gone anywhere. Good header there from Kusanov, and now potentially a chance here for Semenyo. Yeah,
and Semenyo just touched it round Mitchell, Semenyo's quick, but Mitchell's rapid, and he stayed with him the whole way. Semenyo has just moved to the right-hand side for the time being. Must mean that Foden's gone to the left. I'm not sure if it's a tactical change or maybe just how they lined up from the set piece moments ago and haven't been able to adjust. As Henderson, they're taking risks in their own area. What on earth are Palace doing? They've got away with it for now. Then there's a heavy touch from Camvo. He runs it out of play, gives away a cheap throw-in. I mean, Palace are just asking for trouble.
Yeah, as I say, if we had hydration breaks now, Palace would love to have had one a few minutes ago, because they need a little bit of a refresher with their manager. it just seems to be that they're just getting a bit swamped inside their own half now.
Yeah, they are. Dean Henderson's pass to Commander did not do him any favours, did it? We've not seen enough of Adam Wharton from a Crystal Palace point of view today. Hasn't gotten the ball enough.
No, I think that the trouble is for Wharton that whilst he is obviously excellent in central midfield, he is much better on the ball. You don't really associate him too much with crunching channels. That is a part of his game, of course, but in this game so far, he's not really been able to get anywhere near the ball. And an interesting stat here that the last time City had a touch in the opposition box was on 28 minutes, but just got into 31. The last time Palace had the ball in the box and it wasn't from an offside was in the 3rd minute. So that just tells you everything. Palace made a great start, but it was very, very brief.
Yes, we now see Elliot Anderson to carry it forward. He goes to the left-hand side for Josko Vardiol. He goes inwards, ricochets forwards, and now we see Nketiah on the attack. Elliot Anderson steps in. He's been taken down, and this time he does win the free kick and gets the benefit of the doubt from the referee. I think Nketiah just an accidental one there.
Yeah, I mean, Nketiah just checks back to... Yeah, he is actually trying to... I've always felt those sorts of decisions are very unfair when penalties are given for that. When a player is trying to clear the ball and suddenly an opposition player's foot just appears and you end up kicking it with no intent whatsoever. I've been very frustrated a few times commentating on that. But that was a similar sort of thing. But I think Nketiah just got there a split second too late, although City have lost the ball and it's a chance now for Palace. Yeah,
a chance for them to come forward, but the forward ball isn't great and it's going to ricochet for Elliot Anderson. He finds Foden, who's been clattered there. Enzo Maresca's saying should have been a free kick, not given, and Ryan Cherky brings his man down, and that should be a yellow card, and I'm not really sure why Ryan Cherky's so bemused by it. He's rugby tackled him to stop the counter attack, and Ryan Cherky, maybe an unlikely source of a yellow card, but he picks up one.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the arm on the back of the shoulder there. He's got absolutely no intent on playing the ball. Wharton, if he really, really wanted to, probably could have still chased after that ball. But as I say, if you can get an opposition player in the book for a cynical foul and give your side a set piece to try and get that ball into the penalty area, then why not? But Palace have taken it short.
Yes, you now see them with Kalali. He whips the ball into the area. Decent delivery for Strand Larsen with the header. And Donnarumma was rooted to the spot. It whistles just wide. I tell you what, he's almost side on. He has to duck almost to a point where he's on his knees to meet the ball. He would have been ruled out for offside.
He would have been offside, yeah.
But he's so close.
He is close, yeah. He's almost trying to outdo what his countryman did when his countryman did with that goal that Haaland scored. Strand Larsen, yeah, we can see from the reverse angle it was just angling a little bit further away from goal, but he was always going to be in an offside position as a very loose ball there in midfield is picked off by Nketiah.
Yeah, as we now see Kamada driving forwards, plays it to the right hand side for Yeremy Pino, into the area, hangs it up towards the back post. It's just a little bit overhit. In the end, I say a little bit, very overhit, as Tyreek Mitchell's done brilliantly to keep it alive as he gets the better of Phil Foden, hangs it into the area. Phil Foden gets the blocking. Tomiyasu on his left boot with a wicked delivery, well dealt with by Mark Gay. Haaland can't get in front of Chris Richardson. This is a good spell for Crystal Palace. Kalali, ball into the area, not a great one, felt a desperate one, didn't he? Easily headed away by Mark Gay once again. As we now see Canvo, ball down the line, smart, ball in towards Adam Wharton, who peels off the back of his man. Ball into the area. What a chance that is for Tyreek Mitchell, who heads it down. Doesn't score too many. He's put it way wide. What a delivery that was from Adam Wharton. That's more like it from him getting involved. What a chance.
Yeah, it's the cross wasn't really intended for Mitchell. I think it was meant to be for Nketiah and for Strand Larsen, but it's just a bit too high for them. And Mitchell's almost having to sort of just lean back a little bit to get anywhere near the ball. And as I say, he's somebody who you normally associate with putting the crosses into the box for a teammate to head it. That's not his first skill there, really. But I think he'll still be a little bit disappointed with that one.
Yeah, he absolutely will, because he watches it the whole way as well. Such a poor header. What an opportunity. And maybe that is the difference of quality in the penalty areas.
Credit to Palace, because we didn't see this 3 or 4 minutes ago. They have stepped it up, and they've got City under pressure now.
Yeah, and they're playing out of the press really well. Yeremy Pino, ball down the line, looking for Strand Larsen. He actually got a touch on that, didn't he? It was just a bit of a poor one. Matt Gay turns in towards Ryan Cherky. He plays it down the line for Kusanov. He's then going to carry it forwards now. He finds Ryan Cherky. Cherky now. He's going to go all the way across for Elliot Anderson. 35 minutes on the clock. If you are just tuning in, Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. Erling Haaland with his first goal of the season. His first goal without the long locks as well, as we now see Ruben Diaz goes across towards Josko Vardiol. Back to Mark Gay. You can tell City just want this game to count down just a little bit. as they come on the front foot again. Semenyo's moved back out to the left-hand side, where he's probably been the best player on the pitch so far. As we now see Cherky across to Elliot Anderson. He then finds Kusinov, who's got O'Reilly and Foden ahead of him. He ignores them both. Anderson doesn't. It's a dummy from Ryan Cherky. Right idea, but Erling Haaland not on the same wavelength, and Haaland's completely bottled out of that. He's won the free kick. And maybe for the reckless note of Yeremy Pino sliding in, I don't know. It seemed a bizarre one.
It does a little bit. We'll see from this replay. I mean, there's a challenge there from Pino.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what. I mean, it's maybe lucky for Pino that Haaland just doesn't respond at all. And he doesn't sort of lunge further into it either.
If Haaland sprinted in, Yeremy Pino's getting sent off. I didn't see that on live viewing. He's high. He's very high.
He is, yeah, and he gets away with not even getting a booking after all of that. City take the free kick short. Yeah,
and here's Kusinov. Now to the right-hand side for Phil Foden. He cuts in, but it's well blocked away by Mitchell. It's going to be completely ate up by Kusinov, who gets back into position. Finds Ruben Diaz now. Looks for a switch of play for Semenyo. It's a great ball as well for Semenyo. Good first touch. The second from Kalali gets the toe in, and he goes behind for a throw-in. I thought he may have gone behind for a corner, but it is going to be a throw in the end. What ball that was from Diaz.
Superb, yeah. I mean, as you say, it didn't take very much for City to respond with their own bit of attacking possession. And now they've got themselves a throw in a very, very dangerous position.
Yeah, just seeing pictures of Axel Disasi on the bench, the new Crystal Palace signing.
Good signing, I think.
Yeah, well, he impressed, didn't he? West Ham in the second half of last season. As we now see Vardio coming forwards, is there a flailing arm? Pino's gone down again, nothing given. Semenyo looks across the face of goal. The goalkeeper spills it. In that sense, does just enough. But Yeremy Pino's got to stop throwing himself to ground, claiming for elbows, because there was nothing in that one again. And Semenyo, he hesitated. He almost thought like he wanted to shoot initially. That's a good challenge though from Kamada on Cherky. And here comes Nketiah, who just has no real support. He's just driving into a little bit of space. Turns away from O'Reilly though, still on him. Nketiah finds it in the middle, and the referee's brought it back for a free kick for an earlier challenge. But complete mess at the other end as well.
Yeah, I mean, this must be encouraging for Palace. That's why it's so important for them not to concede again, because whilst it's 1-0, they do have a way of upsetting City's rhythm. They've done it 2 or 3 times now since they've conceded. It took them a little while to really find their feet after they conceded that goal. But yeah, from Palace's point of view, this is exactly what they need to do. As Yeremy Pino hits the deck, they're claiming that Gvardiol hit him in the face. I mean, it's we've seen this already in this game. I don't think there was too much in that.
Yeah, exactly. Semenyo just hesitated a little bit, didn't he? He had 2 players to aim for, in O'Reilly and Haaland. As we wait for this free kick to be taken, Pino towards the back post. Good delivery. Richards across the face of goal. But there's Donnarumma ready to meet it, and he gets there first as well. And Italian's a bit frustrated with his teammates for not really being that up for the counter.
Yeah, he wants to bowl that ball out quickly, and he hasn't got any option to do so. He's berating them a little bit. And again, we've seen this a couple of times from Palace this evening, that just the headers weren't quite timed right. Mitchell didn't get it quite right before. On that occasion, we saw the ball coming off the shoulder of Richards, but here comes City.
Yeah, it's O'Reilly with the ball into Phil Foden. He cuts inside onto his left boot, back to Nico O'Reilly. It's some decent touches, not once but twice, with the skills from O'Reilly. Lovely play from him. Elliot Anderson now carries it forward. He's got Matt Gay to the left. He uses him. He's got Semenyo further left. He gets him involved. The former Bournemouth man, of course, played against his former club last week in round 1 of this Premier League 2026-27 season. See Kusinov out to the right hand side for O'Reilly. He tries the little flick. It almost comes off, but he was asking a lot of Phil Foden there, who couldn't get to it. As we now see the ball on the right hand side with Kusinov. Finds Elliot Anderson in possession. Elliot Anderson then is going to go central. It's a ball for Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz goes across to the left hand side for Antoine Semenyo. It's going to be with Mark Gahey. Gahey's going to look for a switch of play as well. It's a decent ball out towards Phil Foden, who brings it down with a nice first touch. O'Reilly into the challenge. Elliot Anderson back with Kusinov once again, and it's just sustained possession for Manchester City here. We now see Matt Gay in for Semenyo, looks to turn away from his man, plays it into Matt Gay again. in the final third. Everybody packed near their own penalty area for Crystal Palace. Semenyo driving into the box, finds Ryan Cherky, and then it's a good footing from Kamada, who's also taken down the referee. Plays advantage, and maybe a good advantage as well, but they don't make the most of it, and they just go back into possession. Nice ball into Adam Wharton, though. He looks for a ball in behind for Eddie Nketiah. Can he get there ahead of Kusanov? Yes, he can. He shrugs him off as well, but once again, he shrugs him off. He does the hard work. Didn't have too much support, but here's Pino. Looks for the ball in behind. Well intercepted by Mike Gahey. And then he finds Ryan Cherky. Sliding challenge in from Wharton's a good one. And Palace is straight back on the attack. It's a bit relentless here. Ball in behind, and it's into the hands of Donnarumma, but a bit of relentless play from both sides.
Yeah, really good effort there from Palace to win that ball back, but it's not come without its side effects, because Adam Wharton is on the ground now and he can't quite get up. He's got a problem with his either his right shin or his right ankle. He seems to be complaining about there. The Palace number 20. And let's wait and see whether he needs any help from the physio. Andy Madley just come across to check the Palace midfielder, and we'll see what happens here. He might just get trodden on here by Ryan Cherky. I mean, completely accidental, but we see from the reverse angle. No, it's not even he sort of gets clipped with the toe end of Cherky's boot, so there's certainly no intent there from the City man.
Yeah, no intent at all. As we now see Thomas Tuchel watching on. He'll be watching plenty of players.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if we have a quick look at the two 11s this evening, he of course has Henderson as a potential goalkeeper for the future. Wharton certainly in the mix. Mitchell's been in the mix before. From Palace's point of view and from City's point of view, of course, you've got Gahey, O'Reilly, Anderson, and if he can pick up some form, Foden potentially as well.
Yeah, exactly. As we now see the ball on the left-hand side with Josko Vardiol. Finds Matt Gahey. In possession, goes back to Vardiol again. Gahey now. Across for Ruben Diaz. Plays it to the right hand side for Phil Foden. Phil Foden turns away, finds Kusanov. Kusanov now for Ruben Diaz. He then finds Matt Gahey himself. Across for Vardiol, looks for the reverse pass, well intercepted and into the path of Antoine Semenyo. It's now going to be with Matt Gahey again. It's just very sustained possession at the moment from Manchester City. Matt Gahey across for Phil Foden. Great first touch from him. He's got a cutback option in O'Reilly. Ignores it, gets away from his man really well. Ball to the back post for the head of Haaland. Again, he heads it across the face of goal this time. And Mitchell with a woeful clearance. He scoops it into his own area, wins his second header. And here comes City again. And it's Matt Gahey against his former club, where he captained, of course. Ruben Diaz across to Vardiol. He's got Semenyo for company. Semenyo now in possession, cuts inside to his right boot. Semenyo now finds Kusanov. Kusanov in towards Phil Foden again. Phil Foden's going to drive forward, looks to get the better of his man, turns away, and he's been absolutely clattered there. But no free kick given. Daichi Kamada runs into his own area, takes a risk, almost gives the ball away. Wharton has to just scoop it away, and they've got away with one there ahead of Crystal Palace. O'Reilly then with a shove towards Mitchell, no free kick given, and then a fair challenge in from Nico O'Reilly, and it's all a bit messy at the back.
Yeah, it's all turning a little bit messy now for Palace, certainly, and they're trying their best here to just try and get this ball away. We've still got around 45 seconds before we hit injury time here at Selhurst Park. That's a good strong challenge there. Diaz couldn't quite control it first time, but he finds Cherky, moves forward towards the penalty here, but that one's blocked by Tomiyasu.
Yeah, as we now see ball far side with Tyreek Mitchell. He's going to go into the middle for Adam Wharton. Jeremy Pino now looks to scoop it in behind. Elliot Anderson gets there. Good play from Nketiah though, who seemed very physical in this one. Kalali now driving forwards on the right as we approach the 45th minute. He cuts inside, goes for goal. And it is a woeful effort that he's miles over the bar.
Yeah, completely mishit there from Kalali. He's almost trying a little bit too hard to make an impression here as Pierre Sage quickly goes back towards his bench. As I say, he's got a lot to think about here at the break, the Palace manager, because there's some positives from this first half, but he needs to find a way for his team to just stay in possession that little bit longer.
Yeah, he certainly does. Eddie Nketiah, like I said, he seems to have really beefed up a little bit this season. He's been on the good outcome of a few physical battles. Only 1 minute of added time in this one. Already played 30 seconds of it. Long ball up towards the head of Adam Wharton, who won it. Goes straight back towards Donnarumma, who has it once again. The rain's just started to come down at Selhurst Park as well, which could set for wet conditions for the second half. As we now see switch ball from Kuznov, it skims off the head of Ryan Cherky. Maybe he should have left it for Vardiol, but he didn't, and Semenyo picks it up. He's going to dart forwards for maybe one more chance in the half for City. Semenyo, he looks to get better of his man, and he has done. Great play from him. He's still going himself. Lays it off for Ryan Cherky. He plays it back for Semenyo with an opportunity. Lays it off for Ryan Cherky. Opens up, goes for goal. Good save from Dean Henderson. It was a strike from Ryan Cherky on his right boot. It was all him and Semenyo in the build-up as well. That was a nice bit of play, and that is going to be half-time at Selhurst Park. Going into the break, it is Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1.
Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance for Henderson. There were two great chances for Foden, one over the bar and one miss-hit. At the other end, Palace have had a couple of chances. There was a good heading opportunity for Mitchell, but City in control. They lead 1-0. Half-time at Selhurst Park, where it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. And Palace started well in the first few minutes, putting pressure on City, but then Enzo Maresca's side did start to see a bit more of the ball. They started to find their feet, and the goal was scored after a great cross from the left-hand side from Semenyo and a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland, getting that ball into the top corner. No chance. Well, it's a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary from the game at Selhurst Park, the Friday night Premier League game, second round of fixtures in this new season. And it's Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1 at the start of this second half. City taking the lead after a fabulous looping header from Erling Haaland. And Palace had a couple of chances themselves. City had a couple of great chances. Foden should have scored at least once, if not twice, in that first half to almost potentially put the game out of sight. But as it is only 1-0, and Palace had a little bit of a flurry towards the end as well, so they'll feel as though they can certainly upset City's rhythm. The question is whether or not they can keep enough of the ball to actually genuinely do that. We'll see how it all plays out. It's myself, Paul Shbakovic and Kieran Graham taking to the action. Kieran, there are some glimmers there for Palace, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah,
they've looked dangerous at times. It's just felt like they've missed someone, like Ismail Assar, who of course is linked with a move away. They've missed that Jean-Philippe Mateta, someone with a bit of a clinical edge, which is Palace side they just don't have at the moment, because the City defensively are there to be got at. City have looked pretty good in the first half, incidentally going forwards, but they've been far from perfect themselves. On another day, they maybe could have scored 2 or 3 themselves, but yeah, let's see how this goes.
Absolutely, it's sailed out for a throw here on the right-hand side as Palace. Just a quick glance, there haven't been any changes at half-time. And ball now played back towards Henderson, but he's been closed down by Haaland. He hasn't got long on the ball himself, neither does Tomiyasu, as Foden was getting it. Tomiyasu's ball out is actually cut out by Kusanov, but then Tomiyasu gets a second chance. His clearance is blocked at the edge of the area. Is Cherki now finding Semenyo, working his way into the box, down the left, puts a cross in, which is charged down. It might have even been a shot from Semenyo, but it's charged down by Canvo, and it's out for a corner kick. Just to remind you very quickly of the 11s, Henderson in goal for Palace, a back 3 of Canvo, Richards and Tomiyasu. 4 across the middle of Kalalili, Kamada, Wharton and Mitchell, with Nketiah, Jeremy Pino and Strand Larsen as the front 3. For City it is about, we should have time for the City 11 as well. Donnarumma in goal, back 4 of Kusanov, Diaz, Gehi and Gvardiol. It's O'Reilly and Anderson as the 2 holder midfielders, with Foden, Cherki and Semenyo as the attacking midfield 3 playing behind a goal scorer Erling Haaland, who's getting into a bit of a pushing and shoving match there with his fellow compatriot there, Strand Larsen. 2 tall Norwegians jostling for position, but it's Anderson's ball. It's all the way to the back post, headed back across now by O'Reilly, but it's to no one in particular. It's headed clear towards the edge of the area. It's going to be a free kick the way of, I think the referee actually gave an advantage to City. I thought it might have been a foul Palace's way there, but Andy Madley says advantage to City. They still have the ball, and they've actually tracked back with it a little bit as well now towards the halfway line. Anderson back to the last man, who was Kusanov. Cherky's dropped a bit deeper as well. There's some pressing there from Wharton, but City are able to get the ball away eventually, although Kusanov just dawdled on it there. That was a bit of an incentive there for Strand Larsen, but the visitors ultimately looking comfortable on the ball here now, with Anderson going back towards Kusanov. Square now to Gahey, who just dwelt on the ball a little bit, but he's able to hold it up for long enough to go back towards Donnarumma, who again was being closed down by Strand Larsen. This is where Palace can perhaps get some joy, because there's a heavy touch there from O'Reilly, and a combination of Wharton and Tomiyasu win the ball back. But that's superb covering there from Elliot Anderson. As I say, it's going to be almost impossible to live up to that huge price tag, but certainly things like that certainly help him along his way, because that really was very good. He stops a potential dangerous attack there from Palace, and then he spreads the play out towards the left, but the pass is under hit. It's cut out by Kalalili. He gets there ahead of Semenyo. Again, it's the kind of energy level we need to see from Palace early on in the second half.
Yeah, it is. They want to make this game a little bit chaotic, a little bit open. That's where they can get at City. That's where the City are leaving the gaps. And once again, Elliot Anderson, he's had a great game, but he has got mistakes in when he's in possession, and we saw that there.
Well, here come Palace now with Mitchell on the overlap into the pen. Oh, Nketiah drags it wide. It was Nketiah that started the move on the left. He played the ball to Mitchell. Mitchell then goes back to Eddie Nketiah on a tight angle, shooting from the left-hand side. He drags it wide.
Yeah, and once again, Mitchell involved. He's been quite involved, hasn't he? Attacking wise. It's a good ball in, and Nketiah, because he's just sprinting in at full speed, and it's almost like the ball hits him as he's running in. He just can't direct it goalwards. Once again, we talk about that clinical edge in the Palace front three. They're lacking it, and it's a good chance.
Good chance that wasn't taken in the end, but that's certainly a bit of encouragement there for Crystal Palace. Long clearance then from Donnarumma up to the halfway line, headed forward by Wharton, but the next ball drops to Cherky. He then finds Anderson, and now Manchester City just trying to slow things down again here in midfield. Just a reminder, there is another game on our service. It is still Wrexham 0, Birmingham City 1 in the Championship. They're just a couple of minutes behind us. That was an 8 o'clock kickoff as well. Throw on here to Manchester City now down the right-hand side. Kusanov is there to take it. The camera now focusing on Erling Haaland, who, apart from that goal, didn't really have too much of an involvement in the first half, but he doesn't need to, does he?
No, he certainly doesn't. He's just there for goals, isn't he? As soon as I saw the cameras linger on him, I knew a stat was going to pop up about how few his touches have been. There's no surprise. The top three players with the fewest touches are the strikers in this game. It's Strand Larsen, Nketiah and Haaland. It's as if that's not.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. I mean, Haaland has had the fewest touches alongside Strand Larsen, but unlike Strand Larsen, Haaland has scored this evening. And here comes City again, trying to perhaps serve up another chance for their big striker. As with Semenyo, he had the assist for the first goal. Gets to the 6-yard, but whips the ball into the 6-yard box. It's cleared back into midfield. Gahey's pushing forward. He finds Cherky, but he's got no option at the edge of the area. He's got to go back towards Ruben Diaz. Diaz then over towards the left. Gahey again, finding Semenyo. 30 yards out from goal. No option for a cross, so it's Mark Gahey again. Eventually being pushed into that midfield role, as Maresca likes to do, before the ball eventually going all the way back then towards Donnarumma. Takes a couple of touches before going out towards the right-hand side. That's good work there from Nketiah. Just gets his body in the way, forces the error from Kusanov, but then the pass from Donnarumma wasn't great either. Yeah,
it wasn't a great one. Puts his side under some real pressure there. We've seen that playing out from the back from both sides in this one as well. As we now see Mark Gahey carrying it forwards.
Actually, that might have been a throw to Palace at the other side, but it was just a throw to City. He did actually get a nick off the Palace man, and now it's back into the Manchester City midfield here with Cherky. Now Anderson trying a ball over the top. Just gets a flick off Kalalili, which means it won't reach Semenyo, but it does go out for a Man City corner. Yeah,
corner coming up for Manchester City. They've got a lot of big players in there. You've got the centre-halves, obviously. You've got Nico O'Reilly, Erling Haaland. Real tall physical presence in this City side.
He is, and he's certainly going to be the main target. So no surprise to see 3 Palace players trying to make a little wall around him there, fencing him in as the cross comes in. He gets a flick on. I think it was of a City head, not to the area where Anderson pulls the trigger, but he was being closed down. The ball bounced too high as well for the former Newcastle and Nottingham Forest man, and he hits it over the bar.
Yeah, miles over in the end. Probably well worth the effort from the former Forest man, but over the bar. Can't have too many complaints. Well, the complaints will be with himself in that sense.
Absolutely, yes. Now camera focusing on Daniel Munoz. So we mentioned him in the first half, of course. If things were, as I say, in terms of if there were no issues in terms of his potential future at the club, he'd be an absolute nailed-on starter. He was such a big player for Palace last season, but that's good work. Initially good work from Kamada, but then he's robbed of the ball by Foden, and Foden now advancing towards the edge of the area where he finds Cherki. Cherki still working his way into the... Ryan Cherki with a deft little finish. It looked like he'd run out of space. It looked like he'd been completely sealed off, but he just pokes the ball past the goalkeeper, away from the defenders, into the corner. 53 minutes gone. Man City lead 2-0.
Yeah, and a bit of a weird celebration from Cherki, who just does not want to get involved with his teammates celebrating with him. But what a goal it is. What a goal from Rayan Cherki, who's got that completely in his locker. He's been a bit quiet in open play in this game, but what a goal. The run from him was just brilliant. They couldn't stop him, and not many players can, and that could be game over already.
Well, it could be. I'm not quite sure why there's this sort of grumpy, moody celebration there from Ryan Cherki, but we'll see the replay again as he takes control here. I mean, it is superb. It just, the composure to do what he does there, where it looks like he's running towards one side of the goal, he's run out of space and suddenly just quickly uses his left toe end just to guide the ball away from the goalkeeper and all the defenders who'd bunched over to the left-hand side as Palace look. It actually might have got a little nick off the defender as well, but it will certainly be Ryan Cherki's goal. An important one as well when you consider just how Manchester City needed that second goal, really, because Palace are always a threat. Palace are pushing forward now. They've won themselves a free kick. We didn't actually see the build-up to that because they were still showing us the replay of the City goal on the off-tube pictures that we're getting. But the fallout from that is that there's a trip from Elliot Anderson around 25 yards out from goal, and he's going to get a yellow card as well. Yeah,
yellow card for Elliot Anderson. I don't know.
Not much in that one.
There's not much at all, and
it's almost the intent rather than
even touches it.
No, he doesn't, does he?
If any contact, he may have just grazed the knee, but it's Yeremy Pino. He's always going down anyway, which he has been all game.
He has a yellow card then for Elliot Anderson. He's the second Man City player in the book this evening after a yellow card for Ryan Cherki in the first half. No bookings for Palace as yet. Yeremy Pino standing over this one. Wait and see whether or not he wants to go for goal. He is a right footer, and the ball is positioned over on the right-hand side outside the penalty area. So it certainly would be a bit of a tall order, but it's not impossible. Pino does go for goal. He's in off the bar and it's in the back of the net. What a free kick. Well, that's one way to silence the commentator saying it's not really the right angle for a right footer. It certainly was. Superb from Yeremy Pino. Lifts it over the wall, underside of the bar and over the line.
I wonder whether it might be an own goal.
Off the back of Donnarumma, potentially, yeah?
On live viewing, I thought that could have been the case. I might be very wrong. We'll have to see it again. But Crystal Palace have been given a lifeline out of absolutely nowhere. We're going to see this now. Yeremy Pino, he hits it. It's off the bar. Did it come off the post and go in? We'll see potentially a better view of it. It's so hard to tell.
We've seen two replays of it. Now we'll see the replay from inside the goal. Yep. Yes. It hits. I mean, does Donnarumma palm it onto the bar, or does it come off the bar? No, it comes off the bar, then it comes off Donnarumma's back, it hits the post, and then it goes over the line.
Yeah, so I was right on the live viewing. It's an own goal from Gianluigi Donnarumma. Interestingly, Yeremy Pino went to celebrate with Daniel Munoz there on the bench. That's a weird one, but City's double lead was not intact for long.
No, it wasn't. Palace right back into this game. And yeah, from Pino's point of view, he won't care too much whether or not it's an own goal, or obviously he might prefer it to be his goal, but the important thing is that his side are back in the game, as indeed are Wrexham in the other game live on our service this evening. Wrexham have just equalised in the game against Birmingham. We saw highlights of that game at half-time. There was a shocking miss from Stansfield in that game, which could have put Birmingham 2 up, but now Doyle has equalised Newman's goal from the first half, so it is 1-1 at the racecourse. But back here at Selhurst Park in South London, it is Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 2, 57 minutes on the clock. And from the neutrals' point of view, that was the best thing that could have happened, that Palace got a goal back very quickly after City's second.
Yeah, exactly that. And a bit of a fluke, but they won't care. They've needed that bit of luck today, haven't they? And just a set piece. And it comes from that bit of a weak challenge from Elliot Anderson.
Well, absolutely. You make your own luck into... Well, I say the free kick, potentially there's a question mark whether it should have even been a free kick at all. But once it's given...
Pino puts it in the right area. He's hit the underside of the bar, so he couldn't have got much closer scoring himself anyway. But here comes Ryan Cherky. What a run this is. All the way to the edge of the penalty area. Can't carry on his move. Finds Semenyo. Now it's with Gvardio. Back to Semenyo into the penalty area. Good challenge there from Camvo. And then Wharton brought down as he's trying to get away. Ryan Cherky can't believe that the free kick's been given against him. Slightly sarcastic clapping there of the referee. Got to be careful. I remember a certain Wayne Rooney getting a second yellow card for that back in the day, but well, there's enough there to say there's a free kick.
Yeah, he instantly goes in with his hands up though. We've seen it again from Cherky. Yeah, he just almost puts the knee in.
He would hit the deck if someone did that to him.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing how players always feel like it's a disgrace when they bring someone down easily, but then you look at the challenge they put and you think, well, knowing what you're like, you'd be on the deck if someone did that to you as well. But it didn't last long, that Palace possession after their free kick. City have it back now in Palace territory as well with Ruben Diaz in towards O'Reilly. Now he finds Ryan Cherky. Cherky at the edge there. Oh, it takes a deflection and it's 3-1 to Manchester City. Ryan Cherky putting the trigger at the edge of the box. That's certainly got a nick on the way before it beats Dean Henderson. But Palace being back in the game at 2-1 lasted about 3 minutes. City are back to a 2-goal lead again.
And Ryan Cherky is absolutely loving life. He was just frustrated a moment ago. And Donnarumma, there is no surprise that he's feeling relieved and celebrating with those City fans. It's just a strikeout of absolutely nothing to give them that double lead again. And this game has just sprung to life at Selhurst Park, and Ryan Cherky once again with that stare towards the Palace fans, and the City fans are loving it themselves. We're going to see it back once again. Ruben Diaz, simple ball. Vardiol found Ryan Cherky, turned away. He was still going himself the whole way. Did take the deflection, and it finds the back of the net, and it's 3-1.
Oh, it really does. I mean, that deflection does have a big part to play in it. The goalkeeper gets close, but without that deflection, I would have thought Henderson could have got closer to it. He actually gets a hand to it as well because he's already moving to where that ball is, and suddenly it changes direction mid-flight and he can't get quite a strong enough hand to it. As we both noted, there was a very strange sort of moody celebration from Cherky after he scored his first goal. This is a bit more like it now.
Yeah, knee slide, he's celebrating, and these players are lapping it up and loving it with him as well, right on the hour mark as well.
Yeah, perfect time to score just a few minutes after Palace got back into the game. City dent those hopes and they've got a 2-goal lead again. So 60 minutes have just ticked by here at Selhurst Park. Unofficial, independent, off-tube studio commentary where Crystal Palace trail Manchester City by 3-1. But now a long clearance from Henderson could be a decent way through here for Strand Larsen. Donnarumma for a very casual little ball out towards Gahey. It was almost picked off by Strand Larsen before Anderson puts a challenge in. And so he puts a clearance in. I think he was actually bundled off the ball just as he was playing that one forward. And he wants a free kick for that. But that's the irony, isn't it? I mean, he got shoved off the ball there and nothing was given. He didn't even trip an opposition player and he got a yellow card for it. But now Kaleli skips past Gvardio and suddenly this right-hand side opens up. Oh, the ball in is just too close to Donnarumma. He could have just taken another second, looked up to where his teammates were, but he made it too easy for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he did. It was great skill to get away from Josko Gvardio, who is great defensively as well. It's not easy to sit him down on his backside and skim past him, but for Ryan Cherky, what a start to the season. 2 assists, 2 goals in 2 games, and I don't think he'll be sitting on the bench many more times. No,
well, it's to say there is an embarrassment of riches for Manchester City in terms of their front line. I said we mentioned Bouhaddi is on the bench. In fact, Ait Nouri, Bouhaddi, Braithwaite, Echeverry, Kovacic, Lewis, Makaidu, Victor Reis and Rulli, the goalkeeper. That's the full bench for City. I'll do the Palace bench in just a moment because City are on the attack now down the left-hand side with Semenyo at the edge of the area, rolls it back for Gvardio. He leaves it for Cherky. Cherky on a hat-trick now, moving towards the edge of the D. Just can't quite find a little window to get a shot away, so he does a quick 1-2 with Phil Foden. Foden on the right-hand side, going back towards Kusanov. Now it's with Anderson. Gahey finding Semenyo on the left-hand side. That's a good challenge, though, from Kaleli. I've been impressed with him. He's really trying to stay as busy as he can on that right-hand side for Palace.
There he is. Absolutely. He's impressed me more than quite a lot of the Palace players, that's for sure. I think he could maybe grow into that role if Munoz is to move on.
Yeah, and maybe even if Munoz doesn't move on, there's scope, I would say, for having Kaleli in the front three. I'm pretty sure that he came on as a more forward player in the game last week at Hill Dickinson Stadium, but a free kick's been given the way of Crystal Palace. I think they wanted the advantage to just get the ball away, but Andy Manley wasn't having it. says that there was enough of a foul there, and Palace has moved and slowed down anyway. So there's going to be a change here now for the Eagles, and it's going to be a change up front with Jürgen Strand-Larsen going off, and it's going to be Evan Gesson, the former Villa man, coming on.
Yeah, exactly that. Evan Gesson coming onto the field of play. Now, you wonder whether that'll put Nketiah a little bit more central, because he was drifted off to the left, wasn't he, in this one? But yeah, Evan Gesson is now on.
Gesson is on the field, and Crystal Palace are at the edge of their own penalty area now here, with plenty of Manchester City players pressing. Wharton then tracking back, playing the ball out towards Kalalili, but his pass down the right-hand side never had a chance of getting through towards Yeremy Pino, really. City back in possession now. Gahey being tripped, but he just about holds it up, plays it back towards Elliot Anderson. Here is Ruben Diaz. Gahey. Now Elliot Anderson just in the centre circle, playing it forward. Cherky first time, but it's neither a pass to it's too far away from Haaland, and it's too far away from Foden. I guess looking at where that ball's ended up, Foden was probably the target, but he gets it wrong. Yeah, he just get it all wrong in that sense, but starting to enjoy themselves, that City front line, without really saying Haaland's name too much in this second half, if ever. As we see Cherky now, once again, he gets the better of his man. He does, and he's moving toward. That's a really good challenge there. I thought, yes, it was from Kamada. Referee very quickly pointing to the ball, but Palace don't enjoy the boost of that good challenge for very long. Just 3 passes later, City win it back, and here's Gvardiol now down the left-hand side in towards Semenyo. There's 5 waiting in the penalty area if they can pick out a pass. Semenyo trying to take on his man, but he goes back towards Gvardiol. Gvardiol then lifts it towards the back post, and it's kept alive just about here by Phil Foden. Holding it up, playing it back into midfield. Kusanov just gets there ahead of Nketiah, and City still keep the move alive, although it's being pushed further and further back now towards the halfway line. Here is Ruben Diaz finding Foden in a more central position this time. Over to Gvardiol and Semenyo now on the left-hand side. Semenyo trying to work his way into the box. He's got Kalalili for company. It's the Israelis' challenge that puts the ball out for a corner. Yeah, good challenge in from Kalalili. Tariq Mitchell has maybe got a message for Dean Henderson. Or maybe a ball. No, it's a shin pad. He's passed over to him. So a change of shin pad for the goalkeeper. Well, and it's a family-orientated shin pad there. It looks like it was Dean Henderson with his young child there. Say shin pads. In my day, you could have got the whole family onto the shin pad. They were huge compared to the tiny little ones that the footballers wear these days. But it's a long out-swinging corner towards the back post. Gvardiol with the header, but it's straight at Dean Henderson, who makes a very good. Actually, saying that, by modern standards, Henderson's shin pads are actually quite big. I've seen some players that are probably about half the size of that. Yeah, exactly. Some players you'd think that they're not wearing any. Maybe the likes of Jack Grealish that spring to mind. Yes, absolutely. And then, of course, there was the old journeyman striker Steve Claridge, who literally didn't wear shin pads. That was his sort of little quirk. And I'm not really quite sure whether or not it was just a case of he didn't feel like he needed them, but he never did. But now Palace pushing forward here with Pino. Pino gets into the box. Oh, but the cross into the penalty area is just fired with a little bit too much pace. I think it was probably the right sort of range, but the ball was just too quick for any Palace player to react to it. Yeah, maybe he puts just that bit too much on it as well in terms of the actual loft going across. Yeah, Nketiah just doesn't predict it quick enough. As I say, if he just lifts that into the 6-yard box, Nketiah gets there, but he puts a bit of power into it as well. So the former Arsenal man's got no chance, and Pino looking up to the skies in frustration. He knows that could have gone a little bit better from his point of view. Gvardiol does really well to turn away from trouble as City were playing out for the back. He switches play from left to right to pick up Foden. Foden almost trips himself on the ball, but he just about keeps his feet and then goes square to Cherky. He wants to play an early ball, but Palace are doing what they can. They really are keeping that offside line as high as possible. Just get the feeling that there is another goal in Palace. You certainly wouldn't rule out them getting a second, but just as easily, you certainly wouldn't rule out City getting a fourth either, as Wharton steps in and cuts out a pass in midfield, and suddenly Palace can go forward. Kamada finding Mitchell. Mitchell just about gets that ball back to Kamada. Elliot Anderson can't stop Kamada, neither can O'Reilly. This is really good play now from the Japanese international. He holds it up and rolls it back in now into midfield. A deep cross coming in. Pino is there, but Gvardiol is there just ahead of him, and then Semenyo is there to mop up for Manchester City, just at the edge of his own penalty area, running back into the middle. That's the challenge from behind, pretty much there from Anand Kalalili, and he's certainly going to give away the free kick. And really, based on what the nothingness that Anderson got a yellow card for early in this game, that should probably be a booking for Kalalili as well.
Yeah, you can see what he's trying to do. Just wanted to stop Semenyo in his tracks. Maybe he's a bit fortunate. Maybe he does get the yellow card, and he does get the yellow card. Good referee.
Yeah, it had to be, as I say, based on what Andy Madley's already booked 2 other players for this evening. I mean, Cherky barely touched his man when he got a yellow card, and even less so with Elliot Anderson. But now a change here for Crystal Palace. One of their new signings from the summer is on. In fact, 2 changes for Palace. So first of all, Yeremy Pino is off, as is Eddie Nketiah, and it's Gozo the American and Dwight McNeil coming on.
Yeah, double change just to add a bit of energy in attack, which is exactly what they need. Gozo, American forward brought in this summer. Let's see what he can bring to this side.
Absolutely, yes. So Xavier Gozo and Dwight McNeil. And I have to say, I mean, nothing against Brennan Johnson, but I think if you gave me the choice of a straight swap, McNeil or Johnson, I mean, they are different players, wide players, but not exactly the same. I probably would say McNeil just about shades it.
Yeah, I absolutely would go with him. Brennan Johnson's had a really tricky couple seasons, hasn't he, in the Premier League in Crystal Palace. I mean, they'd only just signed him for quite a bit of money, so that shows what they thought of him to get rid of him.
And he'd only been at Spurs of, a season and a half, having left Forest. I mean, it's... considering that he was on the verge of signing for Brentford at one point before he ended up choosing Spurs. Didn't quite work out for him there, and he didn't really have time for it to work out at Palace, but potentially I think he has got some ties to the Northwest as well. Maybe he wanted to be back in that part of the world. And he's actually got his first goal for Everton, I believe, in midweek as well, so certainly from Brennan Johnson. And that said, Dwight McNeil, for all the skill that he has, he can be a little bit hot and cold as well. There were games for Everton where he was unstoppable, and then there were games for Everton where he was completely anonymous.
Yeah, exactly that. And Dwight McNeil, he's another one. He's had a bit of a quiet, maybe last 18 months or so. Needs something to maybe revive his Premier League career.
He does. As Palace now trying to revive their attack with an early ball in from Kalalili, trying to pick out Gesson, but that is too close to Donnarumma. An easy save there for the Italian goalkeeper. 69 minutes on the clock. We're over the 3-quarter mark at Selhurst Park. It is Palace 1, City 3, and here's Kieran to take us through to full time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. As we now see the ball on the right-hand side with Kusanov. Goes across towards Ruben Diaz. Now it's going to be with Donnarumma. Mike Gahey in possession. Goes all the way across towards Ruben Diaz. In possession. Finds Kusanov, and it's back for Ruben Diaz once more. Ruben Diaz across towards Donnarumma. And Donnarumma now in possession. Under no real pressure. You wonder whether we might be getting a quiet 20 minutes or so with it being a 3-1 lead.
Potentially, yes. I think whether or not Palace... It's all down to whether or not Palace have the energy levels to upset City's possession, because I don't think City will want to sit inside their own half, but potentially they may want to just slow things down a bit. But if Palace keep getting in their faces like they're doing right now, then there's every chance that Palace can still upset that.
Yes, I see Wharton turns away, goes to the left-hand side for Tomiyasu, plays it down the line, and a nice first touch from Gozo. Is he taken down by Kusanov? Yes, but fairly, claims the referee, and O'Reilly spins, finds a pass for Cherky, and it's good football from City, and Haaland with the switch ball is well intercepted from Khalili. Haaland with a look to the sky. It's been a quiet one for him today so far, despite having the goal.
He has, yeah, but that's Erling Haaland through and through. If he gets another chance in front of goal, you would back him to take it. But it's also down to the fact that City have been doing a lot of their work in midfield. They haven't really been able to get the ball to him too often. Here come Palace.
Yeah, and it's great football, and the flick from Gozo was brilliant. As Dwight McNeil picks it up, he plays it to the right. It's a bit of a slow turn pass for Khalili, who whips it in, and once again it's too close to Donnarumma. He's trying those crosses every time.
It's the right idea of where he wants to put the ball, but he just hasn't quite got the range right. That was, again, far too close to Donnarumma.
Yeah, far too close in the end, as we now see the ball on the left with Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah, just to tell you as well that Phil Newman, who's actually a centre-back by trade, has got a brace this evening in that game between Wrexham and Birmingham. It's now Wrexham 1, Birmingham 2.
Big centre half popping up with a double, which is, you don't really see that very often. As we now see Ryan Cherky, who finds Elliot Anderson. It's just a walking pace at the moment between these two sides. As we now see Ryan Cherky again, goes all the way across. It's going to be well intercepted, but Phil Foden wins it back once more. 72 minutes on the clock. It is still Palace 1, City 3. Switch ball from Foden is well taken down by Semenyo. Drags it back for Mike Gay. takes an extra touch. Vardiol, O'Reilly. And they're just going to take their time now at Manchester City. O'Reilly finds Vardiol. In towards Matt Gay again. Elliot Anderson turns away from Adam Wharton. Just feels like they're chasing shadows at the moment. Crystal Palace can't get their way back into this one. Kusanov, ball over the top, looking towards Foden. Easily dealt with.
Easily dealt with, yeah, that one's too close to the goalkeeper there. Henderson comes out to the edge of his box and makes an easy save. And just thinking about Crystal Palace, I mean, let's say the PSRs knew that obviously it's always a pressure job to take a Premier League appointment. After this game, they play away to Fulham a week tomorrow. And then they are at home to Borough in the EFL Cup a couple of days after that. Then they're at home to Ipswich. So actually the next few games look a little bit better. If they can maintain the positivity and the energy levels from this game against their next opponents, I think they'll have half a decent chance.
Yeah, they absolutely will. As we now see Elliot Anderson wins the free kick there. Matt Gay with a rise smile. And a double change coming up again for Crystal Palace. But they're bringing on two defenders. And it's Oscar Mingueza and Disasi. One of them making way is going to be Tomiyasu. Yeah,
I think it's just a case of getting a few of the new signings minutes on the board as well. So Axel Disasi with that one-footed hop that he does. We know footballers, of course, are incredibly superstitious, and that kind of thing is very important there for Mr. Disasi. Just trying to see who the other change was as well. Who else has gone off now in the last couple of moments? Was it just Tomiyasu that went off? Was there there is a second change as well. We're going to see Kalalili going off. Who's putting a decent shift on that right-hand side, but with the yellow card, I think it makes sense that he goes off now for these last few minutes. Now, has he taken too long? It may well be that this is the first time I've commentated on a situation where a player's taken more than 10 seconds. So now Palace are going to have an enforced 1 minute with 10 men.
Yeah, interesting. I'd seen it in another game, and I can't remember what game it was, but I definitely noticed it. I believe it was in one of the European qualifiers. We now see the ball go in behind. City have made a change themselves. Josko Vardiol making way for Kovacic, and maybe that just pushes Nico O'Reilly a little bit deeper.
Yes, it does. It will push O'Reilly into the left back role, and Kovacic will join Anderson in central midfield. Just to confirm that it is Mingueza who's going to come on for Kalalili when he's allowed to in the next 30 seconds or so.
Yes, we wait for that change to be made. Crystal Palace currently with 10 men. Cherky finds Anderson. And they're just toying with them now. As you see, Kusanov finds Ruben Diaz. Back towards Kusanov. Plays it down the line looking for Foden. He's just so confident with the ball at the feet. But Crystal Palace can't get anywhere near them at the moment. As we now see Nico O'Reilly. He's driving forward, looks to pick the pass to the left for Cherky. Now it's going to be with Semenyo. Cherky. On the left for Nico O'Reilly. Maybe a more comfortable left back position now. Elliot Anderson looks towards Semenyo. Intercepted. One back by Elliot Anderson again. Kovacic battling for it, and he wins it as well. Good play from the Croatian midfielder. Kovacic. All the way back to Ruben Diaz. Anderson in possession again. It's just very straightforward this. It feels like Crystal Palace don't have much left in the tank of pressing.
No, they're starting to flag a little bit now, aren't they? And I think that from their point of view, that they would have felt as though they've put in a decent effort this evening, but City have just had too much of the ball and have just been too strong.
Yeah, they have way too strong in this one so far. As we now see Kovacic, he loses out in the challenge. And Tyreek Mitchell can bring them forward. And Minguez is finally on the pitch now. That felt like more than a minute.
I think it did as well, yeah. But it's a rule. I'm actually all in favour of this because of the way in which players jog off the field when they've been substituted, or when they have been substituted in the past. It's a jog that's actually slower than a slow walk. So it's something needed to be done about that, and that is a rule that I approve of. But I think Palace are just going to be arguing the case as to whether or not there was an issue. Now we can just see the referee talking to what looked like a sort of cameraman stroke sort of statsman. He's basically somebody wearing like a Premier League sort of raincoat, but then sat with a laptop rather than a camera. So let's have a look. Not quite sure. Looking at the referee's body language and the hand gestures, he was counting, saying there was 4. Not entirely sure what the issue was there. Very strange.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Bit of a strange one. The cameras linger on Khalili, who I thought impressed me at times on the right-hand side. Just that final delivery wasn't the best during the game. As you now see, Anderson wins his header towards O'Reilly. Minguez's first bit of action is going to be a bit of defending, where he gets there first. He throws it all the way back towards Chris Richards, and that's going to be Disassi, and I believe Frode's going to go the other way for a foul throw, which maybe just sums up this last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's just been a little bit of a mess from both teams, and now we're getting some further changes getting ready here for Manchester City. See one of Enzo Maresca's assistants there, just with his back to the camera, just trying to explain a couple of things. I think Makaidu was one of the players getting ready to come on. But yeah, from Palace's point of view, that sort of in-your-face pressing that they had with City, even as recently as 7-10 minutes ago, it's just starting to fade now.
As we now see Cherki Buadi's ready to be coming on soon, the 5th most expensive teenager in the history of football. As we now see Anderson across towards Ryan Cherki, who goes all the way back towards Donnarumma. How many times have we said this from City so far in this run? O'Reilly with some heavy touches under a bit of pressure, puts it through the legs of Dwight McNeil. It's going to be Matt Gay, plays it down the channel for Semenya, who spins around his man, potentially a yellow card for Mingueza coming up after this attack. As we now see Semenya plays it central for Kovacic, who's driving forwards. It's a good interception, and that's never going to outplay it. Well, it has. Didn't look like it on live view.
No, it just seemed like it's just hugging the line rather than actually going out. Enzo Maresca is now getting very animated there on the touchline. He wanted to make the change, but the referee wasn't ready, so City playing on for the time being.
Yes, you now see the ball on the right with Ruben Diaz. He finds Matt Gay in towards Nico O'Reilly. Elliot Anderson plays it to the right. So flat is this game at the moment. Absolutely nothing to really talk or shout about. You see the ball all the way back towards Ruben Diaz. He finds Donnarumma. Will City be forced to go long? No, they won't. Not just yet anyways. Matt Gay picks it up, plays it down the line for Semenya. Under a bit of pressure, looks back towards Gay. A risky pass, but he's done so well. Here's Matt Gay, and maybe he's been a bit of what Palace have missed today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you knew you were going to miss Mark Gay as soon as he left us. Donnarumma then getting into a little bit of a tangle there at the edge of his own 6-yard box, and he just about gets the ball away.
And then see the ball with Donnarumma. Looks long up towards Haaland. Can't win his header. Cherki wins his though. Goes towards Semenya. 18.5 minutes on the clock. Crystal Palace 1. Manchester City 3. Switch of play towards Kusanov. It's a really poor first touch and then a poor touch from Goto as well, who brings his man down. I don't think he can have too much complaints there. Goes up as he went into the challenge a little bit aggressive.
He does indeed. It's going to be a free kick then, so we're going to see this double change now. As we mentioned, it's going to be Buadi, one of the players going off. Ryan Cherki with his brace this evening. Excellent performance from the French forward, and there'll be a lot more to come from him this season, we know that.
Yeah, there absolutely will. I think he's got real potential to be a player of the season contender in the Premier League. He's more than good enough, and if the assists and goals keep on flying in, then he's going to be loving life. So a good opportunity for the youngster who is coming onto the field of play. And you've of course got Buadi coming on for Elliot Anderson. That one seems more of a straight swap, but it's Makedu on for Ryan Cherki. So just to add some fresh lights.
Yes, absolutely. Just to try and get things over the line now. City will feel very comfortable with the current state of play in the game, and it does give them a chance to give Buadi a first run out and also get the youngster Makaido on the field.
As you now see Buadi in possession. The Moroccan's going to gallop into the opposing half. No chances to bring you over the last 10 minutes or so. And it's been really quiet. Nico O'Reilly with the turn away from his man. Good play from Mingueza though. He just boots it straight off the City fullback, and it goes out of play for a throw-in. 82 minutes on the clock. Throwing goes down the line. Paul touch from Dwight McNeil. Was he fouled? No. As he switches play, looking towards. Goes, oh, it's terrible from him. Makedu driving forward. It's great touches from McKenna, who's still going himself. What a run this is. And McKenna goes for goal. He puts it just wide. Well, what a run from the youngster that was, and what a way to make a name for yourself that could have been.
Well, if you're a youngster at Manchester City, you've got to do something quickly to make a name for yourself, because there's so much talent around you. And runs like this from Makaido certainly won't help. The shot in the end was just a little bit wayward, but he won't mind that too much, because the build-up to it was very good, and that certainly would have impressed Enzo Maresca as well.
Yeah, he certainly would have. Yeah, absolutely would have impressed the Italian manager. Ball out of play for a throw-in that goes the way of City, and in the hands of Kusanov. Kusanov now throws it in. He's then going to boot it long as he picked it back up, and it's going to go straight into the hands of the goalkeeper, who dishes it out to the central area of Chris Richards. Finds Disassi. Goes to the left again. Goes on line as well, intercepted by the midfield. And we now see Kamada. Kamada goes all the way back towards Canvo. Back for Kamada again on the left-hand side. Canvo turns away from his man. Finds Disassi. It's just got so flat as this game. I mean, literally nothing has happened for about 10-15 minutes or so. The ball breaks away in the midfield, and finally a breakaway for City. Foden driving into the penalty area. He looks up. Can he find Haaland? He can, and Haaland goes for goal! And he rifles it into the top corner. And Erling Haaland is on the score sheet again. He's had one of his quietest games, but he won't care because he's got a brace.
He won't care at all. Would he rather have 50 touches of the ball on the halfway line, or 20 touches in total and score twice? We all know that he'd go for option B, and so would his manager, and so would his teammates. That's what he's in the team for, and he gets that chance. Maybe a bit of a question mark over Henderson, because it's a shot going high at his near post. Maybe the goalkeeper could just stand a bit taller and make the save, but that's all ifs, buts and maybes. It's a risky pass from Chris Richards. That one's blocked off by Mark Gahey. Decent work from Foden. And then, as I say, the Palace the offside line was non-existent by this point, and it's just a shot into the roof of the net, rifled past Henderson.
Yeah, and he's at it again. Erling Haaland, his first 2 goals of the season. Ryan Cherky's first 2 goals of the season, but what a finish that is. You're never in any doubt with him. So many strikers, you're thinking there's still a lot to do. You just knew he was going to rifle that into the near top corner, and it's great work from Foden. Superb
work from Foden. 4-1 now, Manchester City lead, but it's Palace now going forward with a ball over the top there from the substitute Mingueza.
Yeah, and it's almost kept in play on the far side, but it isn't, and in the end it's an offside anyway against the substitute. Goes up, and maybe the haircut isn't affecting Erling Haaland.
No, it certainly is, and that's his 10th. I say he's absolutely loves playing against Palace. That's another 2 goals to add to the 8. Sorry, that's another 2 goals to add to the 6 he already had against Palace at this stadium. And yeah, Erling Haaland has certainly arrived in this season now.
He certainly has. As you now see, Gate goes across towards O'Reilly, and that's going to be Foden. Buardi driving forwards. He's still going himself. Semenya finds Phil Foden towards Kovacic. Kovacic turns away from his man. He's going to play it in towards Ruben Diaz. 86 minutes on the clock. Maybe both sides to take full time at this stage. As we now see Buardi goes all the way back towards Matt Gay. He's got Buardi for company. I've seen Buardi a few times for Morocco and Lille. Always impressed with him. Think he's a good addition to the Premier League. And there he is again. Turns away from his man. Plays the ball to the right for Kusanov. Looks for a chips ball over the top for Mikhedu. Doesn't work. It's headed away only as far as Phil Foden, who scoops it over the head of his man. A couple of assists for Foden today as well. He's had a sharper game. Buardi, ball to the right. Was Mikhedu onside? Yes, he was. He then turns away, finds Kusanov. Kovacic again. Plays a 1-2 with Buardi. It's going to be with Kovacic. Goes all the way back to Ruben Diaz. Shimmies away from Evan Guessant, and the Palace subs just haven't been able to make their impact.
No, they haven't. I think they've come on at a time when the team have sort of started to flag a little bit, so even with fresh legs, if the rest of the team have sort of lost their belief, but here comes City again.
And it's Haaland into the penalty area. His first touch just lets him down for what could have been a decent opportunity for a hat-trick there for the Norwegian. He's used to starting seasons off pretty quick, isn't he? He always gets a hat-trick in that first few weeks. It feels, could this be the day where that happens again?
Well, you certainly wouldn't rule it out. We've got 2.5 minutes plus, I would guess, 3 or 4 minutes of added time still to play here at Selhurst Park, and Haaland's definitely in the mood now.
Yes, we now see Matt Gay. He finds Semenya, great touch to get away from Mingueza, and Haaland will be licking his lips at the back post, but it's well recovered by Mingueza, and it goes behind for a corner kick, which Semenya, well, I'm not too sure if it is corner kick.
Well, it looked like it was a corner kick. Semenya certainly just walked up like he thought it was obvious. Ryan Shirky's been named as the player of the match by the TV pictures that we're getting. 2 goals of 3 attempts. He created 3 chances with 5 touches in the opposition box. It's an accomplished forwards performance from him this evening.
Yeah, and it looks like Nico O'Reilly's about to make way. He's had a decent game. He comes off Vitor Reis, the Brazilian centre-half. And then Kusanov is going to come off. And he comes off for Braithwaite. So what an opportunity for the academy. Man.
Absolutely, yes. The 18-year-old's going to get a few minutes on the field. Here comes the corner kick from Foden.
Foden whips it in towards the back post, headed away, only as far as Kovacic on the edge of the box. He finds Braithwaite, who's got some real stature to him. Across towards Buadi. Now for Braithwaite himself. Switches it across for Ruben Diaz. Kovacic to the right for Vitor Reis. Now it's with Braithwaite at the back, across towards Ruben Diaz, who's in possession. He finds Buadi. Now driving forwards. Plays it to the right for Vitor Reis. Kedu coming forwards on the right hand side. Reis turns away, and in the end it's a poor touch from him. And out of play for a throw-in. Throw-in ready to be taken by Crystal Palace here in towards Adam Wharton. Forward ball is a decent one, but well recovered back by Phil Foden. Now that's the type of stuff that Enzo Maresca will be really happy with at 4-1. Still working their socks off. Braithwaite into Foden, back to Braithwaite again, who goes all the way back, and now it's just very controlled to see this one out.
Yeah, very controlled. I think even Palace wouldn't be too upset with the referee if he shaved a minute or 2 of the injury time off, because they're not going to lay a glove on City now in these last few minutes. City have put Palace to the sword just when it looked as though Palace might start creeping back into the game at 2-1 after that free kick from Pino, which came off Donnarumma and went into the net. But City very quickly recovering their 2-goal lead, and they've looked comfortable ever since. We're into 5 minutes of added time.
Yeah, 5 minutes of stoppage time. Quite a few goals in this second half. Of course, it was only 1-0 coming into the break, and now it is 4-1 to the visitors. As we now see Kovacic. He's got Diaz for company to the right, uses him. Diaz then finds Vitor Reis. Ball back towards the Brazilian, plays it on the line for McKay, doing its lovely football. And Vitor Reis picks it back up on the right hand side. He lays it off for Phil Foden. Can they get more? McKay on the edge of the box looks for the return pass. It's I'm not really too sure what he was intending for there. But
yeah, the intended target was nowhere near where that ball ended up. I think he sort of played it. It was too hard it was too quick to be for Foden. There was no one really, nobody else on that right hand side.
I see Kovacic goes towards the right for Diaz. Buadi has some options ahead of him. Doesn't use them. Goes towards the left for Braithwaite. Back for Matt Gahey once more. Buadi to the right for Reis. Kovacic turns away from Daichi Kamada. Comes inwards with it, and yeah, they will just try and keep the ball, but they need to see this one out. They might try and get Haaland his hat-trick as well. He'll be begging for the one more opportunity. He's taken the 2 chances he's had, really, apart from the one that was well blocked by Strand Larsen. 0-0 as we now see Braithwaite. Good first touch for him to get it out of his feet. Plays it into Phil Foden. It seemed pretty steady, the City Academy man, Braithwaite. Number 61, which always tells you the picture of how far down the pecking order they usually are, the Academy lads. As we now see Reis across towards Kovacic again, all the way to the left for Matt Gahey, who's got an option in Semenya. He hammers it at Semenya. Step overs to try and get away from Mingueza, who tries to give him a bit of a shove. It's well held onto though by Semenya. Gahey finds Foden. 1-2 with Semenya, and Foden goes down, and that's a bit of a nasty one. He almost felt like he'd fallen a little bit poorly. He seems like he might be okay to get back up though, which is good news for him.
Yeah, Foden's back on his feet. He needs a good season this year, Phil Foden. It was a very disappointing one for him last time out, obviously culminating in missing out on the England squad as well. So he needs to get some regular game time, and it won't be easy because there's obviously plenty of competition.
Yeah, Buardi now in possession. Has an option to the right in Kovacic. We're almost 3 minutes into the 5 of added time. It is still Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 4, as we now see Semenyo with the ball across the first goal. That did come off him last, it seems, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Yeah,
a bit of frustration there for City's left winger. He was just about onside. He was onside actually when that ball was played to him. But clever there from Mingueza, just standing over Semenyo, and in the end he couldn't quite get that cross in as Erling Haaland frustrated there. He wanted that ball in the penalty area, but it never quite got to him.
Now see the cameras linger on Haaland with the frustration of not having that hat-trick chance as of yet. Still a couple of minutes. Buardi's looked really assured since coming on, hasn't he? As expected, seen a lot of the ball, no real pressure on City, but he looks a good pickup so far. We now see Dwight McNeil coming forwards for his first real touch, it feels, of this one. As we now see Mitchell down the line, looking for Gozo. Good sliding charge from Ruben Diaz. I'll tell you what, 4-1, he's not bothered. He still went in 100%, and it was a good challenge.
It was a good challenge, yeah, and absolutely no issues with that one. Ball then played down the left-hand side as City now try to win this ball back. But yeah, we can see a few Palace fans starting to make their ways to the exit. They obviously would have been hopeful for a good performance this evening, but after a disappointing Community Shield and a late show against Bournemouth, City needed to make a bit more of a statement at the start of the season, and they've done that tonight.
Yeah, big one tonight. You can sense that maybe Maresca's ways just potentially had a good week with the players, maybe getting the news and information across a little bit better off the back of that Bournemouth game. With just over, or just less, should I say, than 40 seconds remaining of this one. It's been an entertaining game at times. Yes, it got a little bit quiet over the last 15 minutes or so, but that was expected with it being such an unrecoverable scoreline for Crystal Palace. Semenyo all the way back towards Matt Gahey, who looks to the right-hand side for Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz now finds Brace, back for Diaz again, with not too long remaining in this one. Well, a brace from Cherki and a brace from Haaland is what separates these two sides. Manchester City will go to the top of the Premier League with 6 points, and that is it at Selhurst Park. It finishes Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 4. Thank you for joining.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity